Good morning. Welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. It is just amazing what a good night's sleep can do, isn't it? I felt so dead last night, and when I woke up this morning, I didn't want to, initially you don't want to get out of bed. Once I got out of bed, got out of the shower, I was like, I feel so much better today. Okay, so what we have to do is, I am in Florida this week for a conference. I have a poster presentation. A conference is today, tomorrow, the following day, then I'm headed home. I need to go right now to pick up my poster. I had it printed down here because I was nervous about carrying it on the plane with me. Like, I knew I could carry it on the plane in a tube, okay? The poster is 3 foot by 3 foot. However, I didn't know if they would count it as one of my like carry-on items, which they probably would. And then I would have to check multiple bags, and I would run the risk of getting stranded somewhere without my clothes, and it was just easier to have it printed down here. So the first place I tried, their printer was down, but I found a place that is doing it very near the hotel where I'm going for the conference. So we're gonna go pick that up. I need to go over to the conference, get registered, figure out where I need to hang up my poster. We have a little bit of an agenda with some sessions this afternoon, and then this evening, I don't know what we're gonna do yet, but we'll figure out something. Okay, outfit of the day. I have never worn this dress before. How cute is it? It is a mock neck turtleneck dress. It has pockets, and I'm just wearing it with some black tights and then my Dansko Mary Janes. But I love how it fits. If they still have it on the Torrid website, I'll link it down below. I've lost about 12 pounds on semaglutide, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but like, I feel slimmer, my clothes are fitting better, my mental clarity is better. I feel like it's a miracle drug. I don't know. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but maybe not. Maybe not. Okay, we gotta get an Uber. The weather here is so nice. It's like 70, I don't know, 74 degrees. That's what it was yesterday. Not a lot of humidity. Highly recommend. All right, got my poster. It's bigger than I thought it was gonna be. I mean, it's 3 by 3, so I knew it was gonna be big, but anyway, we're gonna head over to the conference center. I don't know where I'm going, but we're just gonna walk until we find it. Found it, finally. All right, so after much walking around, I finally found the place where I was supposed to hang my poster up. So I went and got registered and then hung that up. And then there was someone next to me who I ended up talking to as we were kind of hanging up our posters. And she was telling me about her project, and I was telling me, she was telling me about her project, and I was telling her about my project. So that was kind of fun. The project poster that I submitted was on virtual reality. Our team actually created a VR app that you can put on a headset, and you are basically transported to a hospital bed. You get to go through a scenario where you are a patient being discharged from the hospital, and it's been really impactful, and we actually have a lot of good data to support that this method of building empathy in healthcare providers really works. And so most people who take care of patients who are in the hospital don't really often feel like or think about what it feels like to be a patient in the hospital, right? And so they get to go through the whole discharge process and kind of see how confusing it would be. And we were able to see improvements in patient experience scores and also staff satisfaction as well. So this is one of the conferences where they have complimentary lunch. So they had chicken and couscous salad and some potatoes and beans. It was actually pretty good.
And so they had a biased sample, which then led to them totally misconstruing the results. And one of the first
And then after the conference was over, someone that I had talked to earlier told me that the sushi in the lobby bar was actually really good. And I was like, oh, sushi sounds good. So I went down there and ordered this roll and talked to a couple of other people who were down there before I went back to my hotel. Hello and welcome to the following day. I need to catch you guys up on what I've been doing. Okay, so the last clip I just showed you was of me eating sushi yesterday for dinner. I came back to my hotel. I have been working on a video that's taking me a long time. I worked on it last night and then I worked on it again tonight, but I need to hopefully, maybe, question mark, get that turned in tonight or early tomorrow morning. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about the conference because it has been very good and fun and informative. I've actually never been to the IHI forum before all of these years, like probably well over a decade now that I've been working in healthcare improvement, and I've never gotten to go to the IHI forum. So it's been super great and the sessions have been really good. I was just gonna show you guys some of the stuff that I talked to some of the vendors about, and then the sessions I went to. So I did talk to this one booth yesterday. It's called Oxford Medical Simulation. So I was super interested to talk to this lady because they do all kinds of training with virtual reality, which is what my poster presentation is on. And I feel like it's becoming more of a common thing in healthcare, but it's still not all the way there yet. I think a lot of people have these preconceived notions about virtual reality and kind of how it can be used in different training purposes. And the thing that is really interesting about VR is that it is a much more immersive experience than a traditional training. So like all of us have training for our jobs where we have to sit there and click through modules on the internet, and you're like, maybe you listen, maybe you don't, maybe you just click through while you're doing other things. All of us have gone to presentations before and classes where we just like stare at what's on the screen, and sometimes it's engaging and sometimes it's not. But the thing about virtual reality is that it is immersive, and you are totally, as the learner, once you put the headset on, you are totally immersed in the scenario, right? And so whether it's something like going through the discharge process, like the scenario that my team and I designed, or this particular vendor, this Oxford Medical Simulation, they do more like clinical scenarios. So I was actually trying out their headset, and she put me in a scenario where I was basically in, oh, this is the one, where I was basically like the provider or the nurse in the emergency room. And so you get to like interact with the patient. You can ask them questions, what their chief complaint is, what their history, what their meds are. You can take their vitals, and then you basically have to like figure out how to administer treatment, and then the scenario progresses appropriately, right? So if you do the wrong thing, the patient gets worse. If you do the right thing, the patient gets better. They also do it for like code blue scenarios, ACLS protocol. I don't know, it's very, very cool. And I just think that it's an area that is really untapped in many areas, but in healthcare for sure. And one of the things that I have learned as my team and I have tried to really kind of like scale this project that we've been working on is the barriers to funding. Obviously there's a cost associated with it because the hospital has to buy VR headsets, which in and of themselves are not super expensive. Like you can get headsets for like $300 a piece. So let's say you buy your hospital 5 headsets, you know, that's $1,500. You can also buy a UV clean box for the headsets, which will sanitize them with UV light. That's like $1,000 extra. So, you know, you're talking $2,500, which in the grand scheme of a hospital's budget is not a super significant amount of money. And then if you think about, okay, well, if we're improving the discharge experience for patients, how is that return on investment? Like if we are giving patients better discharge experiences, if they understand their instructions better, we could probably decrease readmissions. I mean, you spend $2,500 on equipment, but you can, you know, avoid 5 to 10 readmissions a month. Like that's a pretty significant cost savings, right? And so that's the thing I think that has been really the barrier in my experience, is the funding. Also, there's time associated with the training, right? And so right now, staffing for nurses and providers and really whoever works on an inpatient unit, staffing is not great right now, like really anywhere you go. And so that's kind of a barrier too, is being able to get staff off of the inpatient units to be able to take the training. And yeah, I mean, I think just the buy-in in general from leadership has been interesting to kind of see, because some people are fully on board with it, and you know, we pitch it to them and they're like, oh yeah, we want to do this, and they're all gung-ho. And then some places are like, well, we don't really know we don't really know about this. But it's been a really cool project to be a part of. It's probably the coolest thing I've ever gotten to work on in my whole entire career. In fact, I brought my headset with me, which is why I ended up having to check a bag, because I didn't have enough room for everything. But I was able to yesterday go and stand by my poster, and then people were able to come over and talk to me and try out the headset and things. So it was really cool to kind of get to talk to some more people about that. So I was excited to hear about this company. And then another person I talked to is, and I forget what this is called. Oh, Mothers of Gynecology. So this is a really cool project. I will find her Instagram and link it down below. But basically she started this nonprofit with her art, where she discovered that there were these basically teen mothers, like Black enslaved teen mothers, and this was in like the mid 1800s. And so she talks about how this doctor was basically experimenting on these enslaved women. And she has a museum in, I was asking her, I was like, so where's your museum at? It's in Montgomery, Alabama, 17 Mildred Street, Montgomery, Alabama. So anyway, I'll link her profile down below. And then she also gave a presentation today, which I attended, on systemic racism in healthcare, which was really fantastic. And I think it's a huge issue, like racism, systemic racism in healthcare. Also, you know, she talked a lot about how we ignore women, just women in general, regardless of what race they are, in healthcare, and how a lot of their symptoms are like passed off, or, you know, they're attributed to like mental health issues, or no, you're just exaggerating, you're not in that much pain, your symptoms aren't that bad. I have a whole load of opinions on that, but she did a really great presentation today on that. And then I also talked to this place called the Compassion Institute. They are a nonprofit, and so they were kind of interesting to talk to. Their goal is to improve patient, staff, and community well-being, collaborate with leaders and organizations to co-create compassionate cultures aligned with the values and mission of the organization. So I talked with them a little bit, which, you know, burnout is a significant issue in healthcare, because, and especially after COVID and all of the things that we, you know, witnessed and experienced, and just all of the things that we had to do, which were awful. It was really a bad time to be in healthcare, honestly. Like there was a lot of good, but there was a lot of bad as well, in terms of like how nurses and doctors and therapists and you know, everyone that works on the healthcare team, respiratory therapists for sure, had to take care of COVID patients, and how just traumatizing it was in general. And so they are actually, I need to go through, they added me to their email list, but I think they're having like a free webinar, he said, in January. So I'm going to try and join that and see if I can get anything out of that, or kind of what resources that they have, because we work a lot with healthcare providers in terms of patient experience. And it's one thing that we talk to people about a lot who work in healthcare, is just all of the demands, and even like the administrative demands that are especially placed on providers, like primary care providers, and just the administrative burden kind of like gets in the way from actually caring for your patients in the way that you want to. So it's a huge problem in healthcare. And then I also attended this session about surveys in healthcare, and it was super fascinating And so it was a 3-hour workshop, which I was like, what are they going to talk about for 3 hours? It actually went by really fast. And it was very fascinating. They were talking about how there's so many surveys, regardless of whether you're surveying patients on their experience or surveying staff or, you know, whatever. And they were talking about kind of like the way the survey questions are written and how a lot of survey questions are bad, and the reasons for that because of like the wording that's used. And then we talked about different ways to word survey questions in terms of being appropriate for educational levels. Like talking about how obviously a lot of people that work in healthcare have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, doctorates. And so we have a different level of vocabulary than patients might have. And so how can we write questions, not just survey questions, but like educational, you know, materials as well that really are at, you know, they say that they're supposed to be, there's Velcro on my cord and it's like getting stuck to my socks. That you should really write things at a 6th to 7th grade level in terms of reading materials for your patients. And so I thought that was a great point. And then I was asking him about some of these questions that we ask in terms of patient satisfaction. So CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, they have all of these rules about surveying patients, right? And so basically, if you are in a hospital that receives Medicare and Medicaid dollars, you have to survey your patients. So I was asking him, so what do you think about the question that says rate your primary care provider or rate your hospital stay on a scale from 0 to 10? And he's like, well, that's a terrible question because most people can't conceptualize 0 to 10 and like 11 different ratings. So if you're asking people, how would you rate your provider? How would you rate your doctor on a scale from 0 to 10? Most people are like, well, I don't know. No one's perfect. I'm not going to give them a 10, but they're not terrible. So I'm going to give them a 7, or I'm going to give them a 6, or I'm going to give them an 8. And the only 2 ratings that hospitals get credit for is if people answer a 9 or a 10 out of 10, which is basically a perfect score. So we got into this whole discussion and it just kind of like blew my mind because it makes me think of how many resources are being directed to improve things based on these survey questions that may not even be that valid. Like my mind was like I was sitting there with my jaw open, like, and I'm like, so could you talk to CMS about this? Or like, are we going to do something about this? Or are we just going to continue going with the same metrics that we've had for the last 30 years and no one's going to say anything about it? Like, I feel like there's so many things like that in every industry, but especially in healthcare, where it's like, okay, well, this is the measure and this is what we're going to measure. But like, has this measure been validated? And like, is this a good thing to be measuring? And it's like, well, that's what we've been doing for the past 20, 30 years. So we're just going to keep doing it. It's like, oh my goodness. Like, I don't know. It was super interesting to me. And then today, they had a keynote speech by Dr. Fauci, which was super cool to get to go to. I don't have any, they allowed no recording. There was security protocols. You had to go through a metal detector. They searched your bag. You could not bring a laptop bag in. I could only bring my purse, but it was a really good talk. And then I went to a session on, I think it was called like kindness and compassion and quality improvement or something like that. But tomorrow I have several sessions that I'm looking forward to. And tomorrow's the last day of the conference. So I feel like I was going to say something else, but I know what I was going to tell you guys. So one of the things I wanted to do while I was here this week is to go to Publix and film a video. I was going to do that tonight. And then as it turned out, when I got back here to my hotel, after I got done with the conference, I had to get on a call. And then that took like an hour and 15 minutes. And then I had to talk to Connor on the phone and help him like troubleshoot some stuff. He's trying to make a Christmas list on Amazon and he couldn't get it downloaded on his phone. And I had to add him onto our family account. And it was like, it took me like 30 or 40 minutes to help work out. And then by that time it was 8 o'clock and I was like, I'm not going to Publix right now. Like I have to Uber there and then Uber back. And I'm just like, I'm too tired. So what I ended up doing, so long story short, short story long, I will not have a Publix video this week. But I'm sure I will be in a place again sometime that has a Publix, and I'll be able to do that. So I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get my jammies on. I'm going to order sushi, which is what I did. So I ordered from this sushi place. I cannot eat all the food. I don't know why. I think I can eat all the food. I can't. The semaglutide is semaglutiding, but I did get this really good spicy edamame. I've never had. This is like an edamame, and they put like a spicy garlic butter on it. So good. Couldn't eat it all, but very delicious. And then I got a couple of sushi rolls. So this one is called a firework roll. I literally ate 3 pieces out of it, but it was good. And then this one was, oh, the sexy jalapeno roll. It's actually like, it's like a jalapeno with like sushi stuff in it. I ate 2 of those. So anyway, I'll stick everything in the fridge and probably eat leftovers tomorrow. But I also wanted to say thank you for your input on Epcot versus Hollywood Studios. I did decide to go to Epcot, and so since I'll be done with my conference tomorrow at like 1:30, I'm gonna go to Epcot tomorrow evening. So that will be super fun. Obviously, I know that I don't have a whole day there like I would normally if I was off work, but I should still get to do some fun stuff. I did buy a lightning pass for the Guardians of the Galaxy Rewind ride, so that should be fun. And then I got a lightning pass for like a couple other rides as well, Soarin' and something else. I can't remember. My camera just shut off on me. I'm not sure where I left off. What I was saying is I'm not sure when the Epcot video is going to go up. It'll probably be in the next couple of days, depending on what goes on with my other videos that I'm submitting for approval. But yeah, if you haven't watched the video I posted yesterday, which was a working mom Q&A, that one has been super interesting to read the comments. You guys are leaving great comments on there. I love to hear all of your experiences. I love that, well, I don't love that we're all in the same boat, but I feel like there's a little bit of community around the fact that, you know, we are all subjected to these impossible demands of being a working mom. And yeah, thank you for all of your comments. You guys have left some great comments on that video. So I'm gonna go to bed soon after I get this published. Also, if you have suggestions on what kind of videos you want me to make when I get home later this week, this is gonna be the last time I'm traveling for another 4 weeks. So after this week, I'll be at home for 4 weeks. I will be able to do all the Christmas things at home. I'm planning on doing a Christmas baking video / Christmas cookie video. I'm not sure when I'm gonna do that. It'll probably be next week sometime. But if you guys have any other Christmas themed kind of like videos you want me to do, let me know down below, because I'll have time to do them once I get home. And after next week, I will have basically the rest of the year off. I'm taking vacation. So I'm gonna leave you tonight with a clip of Milo that I got the other night when I was home, and I forgot to post in that video. So enjoy Milo, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Can you say night-night? Say night-night. Love you. Night-night.